Hello everyone, in this video we're going to talk about Elementor sticky headers with transparency. So this is a follow-up video on the first video I did for basic sticky headers where we started to build this, and I took off the stickiness here so we could just start, at the kind of at the beginning. But anyway, so if you want to get the basics, check out the other video, which should be listed in the cards in this YouTube video or links in the descriptions. But anyway, let's go ahead and build out our sticky headers with transparency. And there's a point in this video where I talk about turning off the cache to get things to work. And I forgot to mention that you can turn the cache back on once everything's working. So you don't have to keep your cache off permanently to have a sticky header. Just FYI. By the end of the video, we're going to have a header that looks like this. Notice how both the background color and height of the header and the size of the logo all gracefully transition from one state to another. Also, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel for more tutorials and then click the bell to be notified on new tutorials. So what we have here now is just a regular old header. There's no stickiness. So let's edit this template. So I'm going to go to my website's WP admin area. I'm going to go to the template, and I'm going to click all, and I named this header homepage header. So we're going to hit edit with Elementor, and there's a reason I named it homepage Elementor. Also, make sure that you disable any sort of caching. So I had WP Rocket installed, and that really messed up some of the CSS code that I wrote. Oh, that's another thing. This is an advanced kind of tutorial for non-programmers at least, and it is going to require some CSS. So there's kind of no way around that yet. I will be looking at some other plugins maybe that might be able to provide this functionality without code, but with just Elementor and Elementor Pro, currently you need to write some CSS, but it's not that big of a deal. So anyway, we're going to make this header sticky. So we click this little section area and we hit advanced, motion effects, sticky, and you set the sticky to top. And then you choose desktop, tablet, and mobile. And so we're good there. So we're going to hit update. Okay, and that's updated. So now if I refresh the page, I look and I try to scroll and it's sticky. So that's great. So we're awesome, we're sticky, we're good to go. But sometimes you may want to have like a transparent sticky header. So you've seen, here's an example on my site currently, and you can see that it has like this transparent background, and if you scroll, it's gonna start to stick. And so, well, it changes color also, but it has to change color because you can't have, we'll show you in a sec, but you need to change it to change color. And you also want it to hover over this image. So we have a couple problems that we got to figure out. Oops, let me go back. Okay, so the first problem is that it's not transparent. The second problem is that this header is currently pushing this picture or this element down, and we want this to be over top of this element at the beginning. So we need to do two things. We need to make the header transparent, and so we can do that here, but I kind of want to, well, yeah, let's just make it transparent for now. So we're going to make the entire section transparent. So if you click this section, you go to style, you go to your color, and then you pick the color, and there on the second row here, there's the transparency. So you can set it all the way to 0, or you could set it to like a faded if you kind of want like a little faded look. So that's up to you. I'm going to make it completely transparent for now. So now we're going to hit update. And now we'll go back again. We'll refresh. And so this change might not, well, actually, we haven't written CSS yet. So now we have the transparency, and you may not think it's transparent because it looks kind of just white, but if you scroll down, we can see that it is actually transparent because now we can see our pictures and everything in the background over underneath the header, where the header is supposed to be. The problem is that this doesn't look very good. You don't want to be able to see, like this especially is bad. You don't want to have like text over top of text, especially when it's not the same text. So it looks kind of gross. So we need to change this color, which is why I have it changed to black. Here on this website, I have it changed to black. That way we have a, well, actually not technically black, but we have it changed to a dark color so there's no like overlapping content. So we want to do that, but we also want to get it so by default there's not this black or this white line up here. So this is also kind of gross. So we need to go back to this page and we need to move it up, and we do that with negative margin. And so we're going to go not to the home page header where we're editing the header, we're going to edit the actual page itself. So let's go to our home page and we're going to edit this entire page. So we're going to hit edit with Elementor. And now we need to click this section, this top section here. We need to go to the Advanced tab, and we need to, well, I don't know if yours are going to be linked or unlinked, but you want to make sure they're unlinked. And then you're going to hit this top margin, and you're going to have to give it a negative value. And so you can do this, and we can see it kind of moving up. And so this is what we want. And the challenge here is that you may not know exactly how many pixels to move it up. And so you can kind of just eyeball it and get it pretty close. I think that should work. Negative 120 seems like a lot, but that's fine for now. So anyway, we're going to hit update. And now we can try again. So we're going to hit this page. We're going to hit refresh. And that is good. Another, like if you really want to get it precise, you can right click and hit inspect. And you can find the header. So like if you just hover over different elements here, so like this is the section element, and so you click on it, and you can see right up there, it says 1903 by 120. So you can see that it's 120 pixels in height total. So I know that that's how many pixels that we need to make the negative margin. And that might change when we start adding padding or anything like that. So anyway, we are good to go here. So let's scroll down, and we still have this problem where the text is overlapping. So now we need to add an effect offset. So on scrolling of the page, your code will change. And this is where we have to start to write some CSS code. Okay, so what we're going to do is go back to our editor, and we're going to not edit this page anymore. We're going to go back to editing the header. So I'm going to get rid of this section in the URL, so it's just WP admin. And then I'm going to go back to our Elementor header template. So templates, all, and then home page header, edit with Elementor. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to click the entire section, and we have to, well, we're going to go to the Advanced tab as well, and then we have to give this section an ID or a class. And so I would actually prefer to give it a class because it's less specific than an ID, but I don't want to get into the details. But unfortunately, for some reason, I've been having a hard time with Elementor overriding the CSS that I write, and so it doesn't take effect. And so I had to do a lot of troubleshooting, and it can be the cache, it can be your code isn't specific enough, it's being overwritten. So there's quite a few things that could go wrong with this, unfortunately. So I think the easiest thing to do is to just use an ID, and that will make sure, for the most part, that this won't get overwritten. So with the ID, we're going to name it, I'm going to name it homepage header. And I left out a lot of details there just to kind of keep this video short. So homepage hyphen header is the name of the ID. And so to target an ID in CSS, you use the pound sign. So in our custom CSS, we're going to write a pound sign and then homepage hyphen header. And then we're going to say these curly brackets here. And then I'm going to say background hyphen color colon, and we're going to say pound sign 0D 0D 0D, which is like this black color. And you know what? Maybe 00FF00 just to be wacky. So we've got this. And now if we hit update, we can go back to our page and refresh. And we can see that our CSS code is working. But we don't want this to work now because now we're back to where we started, where this color is just whatever color that we've set. We want it to be transparent until we start scrolling. So what we need to do is we need to go back and we need to say motion effects. In our motion effects tab, we can set the effects offset, and we can set it to, you know, however many pixels you want. So we'll start out with 100. And so this would mean after 100 pixels of scrolling has occurred from the top of the page is when we activate whatever we've set. And so we're going to set it to effects offset to 100. And then down here in the custom CSS, we're going to use the class that gets affected by that setting that we just did. And so I hope this isn't too confusing, but I'll explain it more in just a moment. So we can do homepage hyphen header dot Elementor hyphen sticky hyphen effects, and then a space, and then this curly brackets here, and then the background color. And so what's happening here is this is another class, and this is called Elementor hyphen sticky hyphen effects. So that's the name of the class, and this is the class that gets activated when you have scrolled down, when you've scrolled down 100 pixels. So that class gets activated. And so let's hit update and we'll give it a try. So update's done. Go back to the tab, hit refresh, or go back to this page, and now let's give it a try. So if we scroll down, oh, and it should have worked. So I'm going to do Control F5. So if you press Control F5, nope, nothing. Okay, so we actually have to do a little bit of troubleshooting, and what I ended up doing off screen that didn't work was turning off the cache. So I guess I thought Bluehost, because I'm using Bluehost with this domain here, I thought Bluehost might have had some caching thing that they did, and then here in this caching section of just like general WordPress, they have a default cache in the settings. I think it's general. And I turned that off, and that did not work either. So I turned that to 0, and I also tried uninstalling a few plugins, but it turns out the issue was not that at all. It was just a typo. So if you go to, and this is the kind of the problem with when you start writing code, which is why in this channel I try to avoid writing code as much as possible. But the issue was if you go to homepage header, and then you go to custom CSS, I actually forgot a second hyphen. So you have to have hyphen effects. So it's the name of the ID with no space and then a dot. So this ID is named advanced homepage hyphen header. So you got to do pound sign because it's an ID, and then homepage hyphen header dot Elementor hyphen sticky hyphen effects, and then a space, and then the curly brackets, and then the background color that you desire. And then now let's give it a try. So we'll hit update. Okay, and let's go back to our home page so we can test this out. We'll scroll down, and there we go. Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay, and so let's take a brief look at why this works. So if I right click and hit inspect, and this is, you don't have to know all this as long as it works, but if you right click on some place in the header, so the easiest part would be like one of the menu items, hit right click and then inspect. And that here in this elements tab will take you to the one of the nav items, either the A or the list item. But if you hit the arrows and you keep going up, you'll eventually run into the top or the section. So right here, I think. Actually, I think it keeps going up. So right here, oh, right here. Okay, so here's the header. So let's see, we've got, oh, no, maybe I need to, okay, it's right here, actually. I'm sorry, it's down a couple. So it's this section element here. So Elementor -section. So watch, see how this purple stuff happens when you scroll? So there's JavaScript running, and it detects when you've gone below 100 pixels of scrolling, it will add some classes. So if you look closely, we can see class, and then Elementor -sticky - effects. And so that class is some stuff is being done to it by Elementor, and it basically activates this class here. And so then if you go over here and you see Elementor -sticky - effects, we can see that this is the color that we've set. So not totally mandatory to know that, but that's just kind of how it's working. So when you scroll down, this class is being added to this element, which changes the color. And you can also see how similar this looks, because this is what we've actually created ourselves. So if you go back to homepage header, the editing page, we can see here, this is literally what we made. So it's just applying our own code when we've reached a certain scroll point. And so now we can change it to, let's change it to like 400. Let update. And then go back. And now if we refresh, we're not 400 pixels down yet, so it's not going to affect. Boom. So we have to scroll down farther now for that to take effect. Another thing we may want to do is change the header's height when the user scrolls down. So a lot of times people like to have just small headers, and this logo is kind of large. So what we can do is we can add a transition effect and change the logo height. There's more than one way to do this. So I don't want to spend 3 hours showing you all of the different variations of this, but in this case here, the height of this entire section is determined by this logo, because this logo is pushing the height down farther. So if we shrink the logo, we'll shrink the height. So let's go ahead and do that. And what we're going to do is go back to the editing of the header, and we're going to click this image specifically. Sorry, I did that off screen. I was on the section, and now we're on the image. And so if you go to the advanced tab in the image, and then click this advanced here, we can give this image a class. So logo, we'll call it logo. And then in our custom CSS, we're going to use that Elementor sticky effects again. So we're going to say .elementor -sticky - effects. Be careful with that. And then this is going to be kind of like a chain. So Elementor sticky effects. So, and then we're going to use dot this time. So dot logo. So in the other one we did a pound sign because that was the ID. So classes are targeted with a dot. So that means this is also a class. But anyway, so dot Elementor sticky - effects, and then the space dot logo. And then we want to target the image on the logo. And then we're going to give this a width of, we're going to give the image a width of 50 pixels. And you can see that it shrunk, so that looks good to me. You can play around with it. I like 50, that sounds fine for me. And then we also don't want it to be like an abrupt change, so we'll give it a transition with changing the width and we'll say it takes 2 seconds to complete, and we'll ease. And then just to be safe, we can add this dot, or this explanation slash important. We can try to get rid of that as well, but depending on how many plugins you have, or whatever else is going on in your website, this may or may not be necessary. So I'm going to keep it in here just in case. It even gives you a warning because generally speaking, you don't want to use important. But let's just give this a try. We'll hit update. And then we'll go over here and we'll refresh. And now if we scroll down, we can see it kind of eases in, and it takes 2 seconds to complete the change of the height. And so we do notice that abrupt outward change. So let's see if we can fix that. Okay, so we're going to go back to our editing area and click, well, I thought I was in there, but make sure you're in the edit image, custom CSS, and we need to make a transition. So do I get into the details or not? The problem with this is that this class here doesn't exist. It just gets removed, and I'm pretty sure that that's why the change is instantaneous when you scroll up, is because this class just gets removed. So it goes back to the original. So what we need to do is make a transition effect above this code here, and the order matters. So you can't have this below this, because the code below this is going to override the code that is set here. So we have to, long story short, we have to put the code up here. So we're going to say .elementor hyphen sticky .logo img, and we're going to say transition width to s ease explanation point important. And I guess I can't really get into too much more detail. If you want more detail, then you can check out my other YouTube channel where I actually talk about programming, but we'll just stick with this amount of detail for now. So do this, and then we will refresh the page, and it's going to be like normal here. And then if you scroll down, it's going to shrink it, take 2 seconds. And if you scroll up, it's going to go back to the way it was in 2 seconds. And so that is a shrinking header, and I think we're good. The only thing I have left to talk about is this. If you were to click on, let's say, this insurance template page, because this was a large page, this is a separate page. And so this may not look right on this page. So you see how I scroll down twice and we still have the logo, and the text is overriding, almost overriding this video, and it's over top of this text here. So we want a separate header for everywhere else. And so what we want to do, go back to this home page header and update the display conditions. So display conditions, we can have it on the only a single page, maybe, or maybe every site but some pages. But right now I'm just going to say singular, and I'm going to say pages, and then I believe I call it home, test homepage, I think, hopefully. So whatever your home page is, we'll set it to that, so it only shows up there. Save. Okay, so that's been saved, and so now if we go back to this page, we hit refresh, and we get no header. And that's because we removed the header in a previous video. We removed the default header that was built in the customizer area. So if you wanted to add a header here, then you would just go and you would add a new template, and then you would create the header how you want it, and then you would update the display conditions to be, all pages except this test homepage, because you already have the header that we just designed on the home page. So hopefully that makes sense. It's not found. So, okay, I'm sorry to drag this on, but there's one more thing that I got to change, and that's the background color is not changing. It's not easing, so let's set the transition for that, for the background color as well. So if we go to the home page header and you click on the section here, so we're going to change the entire section because that's where the background color is. So the first thing we'll do is we're going to add a transition colon and then background hyphen color, 2 seconds, ease, and then a semicolon. And so that should ease the background color in, but we also have to ease it out. Just like how we did with the width, you would have to put the transition for the normal state above the sticky effects. So this time we're using the homepage header. So we're going to do ID homepage, hyphen header, and then curly bracket, transition colon, background hyphen color, 2s ease, and then a semicolon. And so that will change that back. And then I'm going to hit update, but I also want to see if we can get rid of those importance. So I'm going to go back to the image, custom CSS, and let's get rid of the important. So we're going to remove that, but we're going to keep the semicolon at the end. And let's get rid of this one as well. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping it will work. Hit update. And then let's refresh this page. Okay, so we have 2 easing things. Okay, so the background color eases in and out, and then this logo size eases in and out as well. So we are good to go. Please subscribe to this channel for more videos and articles dedicated to helping you build an amazing website without writing code. We also cover topics like SEO and growing your business. Click the bell to be notified about our latest videos, and let us know what you thought by liking the video and leaving a comment. Finally, check out our website in the description to see our latest products and services we offer and how we can help you accomplish your goals.